live.
Sounds so dirty.
Of course, let's say that.
I'm drying my hair off very good.
It's okay.
I get it.
Okay, we're live. I just gotta go find our screen. There we go. What's
Oh.
up, you guys?
As I'm putting my soaking wet head on her body.
How is everyone? Yeah, we're a little wet right now. We just we just had a crazy like monsoon outside. Is that the right word?
This is a downpour, a freakish downpour. So
It just
I
came out of
saw
nowhere.
the clouds building up.
Well, at first it was
Holy
a
shit!
huge,
Now my ice just blew up. What is going on today?
It was just a huge like gush of wind, and I was like, let's go start moving some things, and then downpour.
So we have a 10-foot window in our front living room, and the wind was blowing so hard that the part that slides actually blew open, like it was about to shatter the glass. I was kind of a little terrified. So we ran outside, moved some stuff, blew all my chairs over, and I see these massive tree limbs in my backyard. I'm like, these aren't the trees from the backyard. I looked to my front yard. I have a 80-year-old maple that's like 150 feet, 100 feet tall. Yeah, it ripped like a 6-foot limb and it threw it like 40 feet backwards. So I'm like, oh shit. And I was outside moving some things. Water came down and I had a change right there when I came. I was just completely soaked. It was, I mean, thank God we got the water, but everything's flooded in the backyard right now from like a 1-minute downpour, flooded everything. Anyways, well, I guess it's good.
Yeah,
Make sure it's not coming to my house.
And that's why we're a few minutes late, but here we are. Yeah, when we were remodeling our house, we didn't have a roof at the time, right? So we didn't have a
because
roof.
of the roof.
Well, it was the way that they put the tarp, right? Yeah, because we had a downpour and then it came into one of our window wells and then it flooded our basement.
That was from so they tarped the roof, but it's because we changed the pitch on one of our parts, so where the two roof lines converged and dumped forward, well, we had no gutters. Ooh. And it dumped right into a window well, and the window well wasn't secured, and it flooded our entire basement.
You got your drink.
I told you, my ice blew up.
Oh, goodness, can't take you anywhere. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Hey, Kristen, thanks for joining us. So we wanted to, well, first of all, I hope you guys had the opportunity to go check out Coach Marissa's live on Monday. She was talking about how everybody has discipline. It's just a matter of how you choose to use it. So we figured when we were coming up with different topics we wanted to use for discussion this week, that's what led us back into this choose your hard. And we've talked about this in the past. So this is more so, I would say this isn't directed towards anybody specific. We usually, when we're talking, we're like giving ourselves a pep talk, but this may definitely come across as more a like, how do I put it? Tough love, right? Because we all have hard situations. We all have things that come up in our life. It's just a matter of whether we choose to take action or not. So
so you're talking like the meme I sent you years ago, talking about like choose your hard, and it's hard to be fat or it's hard to eat right. So
correct.
Pick which one you want to do.
Exactly.
Again, I'm yelling at myself and probably some of you because I'm like, I've been eating a lot better today.
Yeah.
Or
so
today.
Shit, you got
the last few days I food prepped and only ate my prep meals. And
yeah. So exactly. I'm glad you brought that one up.
Cut off at a beer. That's a win.
Yes. Yeah. So we like, for example, Ken brought up a good one. What was yours? Food, your diet. Diet is hard, but also being unhealthy is hard. Fitting exercise into your daily schedule is hard, but not being able to walk up the stairs is just as hard, right? So we need to think about that silver lining really, and what are our ultimate goals? Everything is hard in respect to.
It is. I mean, I've told this to many people because I see lots of chunky people in the Army, and I'm a little overweight. I mean, according to the Army, 40 pounds overweight. But I'm like, I have a hard time in the morning, with my uniform on, my belt buckle, putting on boots, and I have to open my pants up. And I'm like, how do bigger people do? So things are hard. Getting dressed in the morning cleaning things. Like, I mean, imagine how, I don't like, since all the knee surgeries and everything, but I'm like, how do larger people get up and down off the ground with kids, grandkids? It doesn't feel good. So again, we're talking about picking your heart here. So you want to be miserable, you know, get it up and down off the ground? Or do you want to be miserable? Oh, this food sucks. I can't do this. I can't eat this shit. And then the next day you're like, well, fudge. Like I can't touch my toes. So everything's hard. So you pick what you're gonna whine about.
Yeah. And Ken, he whines about everything, but he still does it. It's so true.
Well, just like today. So like I went to the gym and I struggle every morning. That alarm goes off and I've done everything, counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm like, snooze, right back to sleep. So I got up this morning. I'm like, if I'd have just not hit snooze that last 15 minutes, because I snoozed for about 30, I'm like, I could have got to the gym, had more time. But I forced myself to the gym. I'm like, well, I'm not going to get a full hour in. So I guess maybe I won't do it. I'll just go to my meeting. And then I'm like, you know what? Who gives a shit? I'm doing 55 minutes and I'm going to cut my, stuff short. And I got into the gym. I'm like, okay, well, what do I want to do? When you go to the gym, you're like, I don't know what to do today. I mean, some people have programs and I could have pulled up a program and I know what to do and I've trained people, but I'm like, what do I want to do? And I just having a shitty attitude. And I don't run very much because of my bum knees. But I'm like, my fat ass is going to get on that treadmill. I got on the treadmill and I put it on a slow speed. Oh, excuse me. I ran for 10 minutes and then I took my ass to the squat rack because legs are my least favorite thing to do.
And then he texted me and he's like, was so proud of himself.
I actually feel really good. Like I felt good. I piss and sweat everywhere. I'm like, why do we shy away from things that are hard? Because it's a defense mechanism in your body to not do what's hard. Mm-hmm. It wants to do the easiest thing possible. It doesn't want to have any resistance. It will revert you back to what you've done in the past. And that's why I've gone back to my whole Kung Fu Panda. If you only do what you can do, you'll never be more than you are right now. So
Kung Fu Panda 3.
Hey, so look, you're learning. That's from the third one.
I know. So I just want to shout out, hi, Denise, Conchetta, Linda, Kylie from the Denver airport. Thank you guys for joining us. It really, really means a lot. And I know it's easy to have these excuses. It's easy to say, well, I can't because of this. I can't because of that.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Exactly.
I'll start on Monday. I already had a shitty week. Guess what? If you have an excuse every day, you're going to make one every day. And then in 1 year, you're going to be like, oh my gosh. And you thought you were chunky or whatever, unhappy a year ago. Now you're going to look at the present time and be like, my God, where could I have been if I just done it?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean, I say the same with college. I'm like, do I want to go back to school? Do I not want to go back to school? I could have got a PhD 3 times over by now, but I don't enjoy school very much. I got a degree. Yeah, but anything. So it's like, what are we going to complain about? You want to complain about because you feel dumb, but you want to sit and watch TV for 8 hours a day. Turn that shit off, read a book. Mm-hmm. Do you feel left out because, now because life's got away from you, and the older we get, it's harder to have those connections with friends. So you're like, oh, you see everybody's social media posts, they're traveling, they're hanging out, and they're going to barbecues and going to friends' houses. You're feeling guilty because you don't hang out with your friends. Well, don't text your friend, call your friend and be like, hey, let's go to lunch.
Hey Eric, thanks for joining us. Also, no, I like where you're going with that. I think it's important to sometimes challenge yourself with the things that you don't want to do. Like Ken was mentioning today, running and legs are the 2 things that he despises the most. And after accomplishing it and doing, like pushing himself to do something that he didn't want to do, getting uncomfortable, then he felt amazing and was like texting me. He was so proud of himself. And
I was happy. I felt good. I was on cloud. I had my dolphin rush. If you know what that means, it's your endorphin rush. Like when I used to be a runner, I get my endorphin high. I always call it my dolphin rush. But I got one. I was feeling good. I did like 10 sets of squats. And then I did, we got a really weird leg press machine, and I love it because it's independent. And so I was doing it and I was focusing on going up at the same time. And I had to let it sit and hit the ground and hit back all the way at the same time. So I'm focusing on, my legs are garbage. So I'm like, all right. So it took a lot of mind control. I'm like, okay, rather than just push. It's really weird if you've never done independent leg put presses. And then I finished up with some more cardio. It felt great. And then my day started out good. and I smelled like stinky butt because I don't normally sweat like that. Thank God I had Trista buy me some Dove spray. I was like, just smelled like a 12-year-old with Axe body spray in the gym because I didn't want to shower, but I did take shower stuff.
Yeah. So when you push yourself, when you do those things that are uncomfortable, you're just going to come out on top and you're going to
feel accomplished.
Yes, feel accomplished. And so I understand how some of these things may be hard, but the thing we want you to sit back and think about is what is harder. Okay. So it's okay to do, or we all have to do hard things. We all have to do things that we don't want to do. Right. But choose your heart. There's no other way to say it. Choose your heart.
So I remember, okay, so now that we're talking about this, look, my little neurons, there's like 6 left and they're firing. I remember the same thing. Like it was a whole like post and it's talking about like marriage is hard. Divorce is hard. Being fat is hard. Being fit is hard. Being hungry is hard. Being like, it's a whole long list. And I'm like, it's a different perspective when you think about it that way. When like I talk to a lot of people like, oh, I don't, and I've been married 3 times now. So I'm like, yeah, divorce sucks. And people are like, oh, sometimes I just don't want to talk to my wife or my husband. And I'm like, and I get it too. There's times where I'm like, please don't talk to me. Let's just go away from me for a while rather than have an argument or whatever.
Well, and you tell me too. So at least now I know.
I'm like, please don't talk to me. I'll just walk. It's usually building things in the house. Don't talk to me. Well, how do I help? Please walk away. Just walk away. Don't hold the flashlight because you can't do it. And you're like a 6-year-old kid trying to shine the light in the engine compartment. Your dad's like, whack, point at where I'm looking. I don't know where you're looking.
Exactly. What else were you saying? You were talking about, well, you were just talking about how like divorce is hard.
Well, people like want to bitch. Well, I don't know if I want to spend time with my wife or my husband. And I just try to ignore them. Well, eventually you're going to have a miserable, loveless marriage. Or you could actually try to find some things to do together. And everyone's like, oh, you guys get work out together. You get to do this together. I don't always like working out with her. I need my alone time. So sometimes she's like, oh, I'm going to come work out. I'm like, just give me 20 minutes alone and then you can come out there.
Yeah.
And so find those things you like to do together, but be open, communicate. So yeah, relationships are hard because you got to deal with somebody else in your life and mesh that together where you can go sit over here and do your own thing and be like, yeah, I'm free. And you're lonely. So being lonely is hard. And just
exactly. Just pick your heart. All things are hard.
Realize you can complain about everything if you wanted to.
Yeah, I like this. Kristen said you have to pick your battles. What is and isn't worth battling for. And so this is something I have come to terms with having a toddler. And like some days she's like, Mom, this is so weird, but she wants gum all of the time. And like this morning we wake up and she's like, Mom, I want gum. And I'm like, we're getting ready to have breakfast. You don't need gum. And then, Mom, I want gum. I want gum. I'm like, okay, fine. You can have some damn gum. And she's just going to spit it out in 5 minutes. But you know what? It's totally fine. Is it worth fighting over? Some little things are not worth fighting over.
Well, I mean, if you chew for 5 minutes, spit them out. When she's like 18 years old and has TMJ problems, I'll be like, well, maybe you chewed 8 million pieces of gum.
Too many. But that's what we just wanted to pop on here and talk about. I think, yeah, parenting is hard. She said, LOL, it's a parenting thing too.
It is. But if you don't parent your kid and you let your kid be shitty, look at the news, look at social media. You got all these little entitled assholes running around, burning, breaking, posting, hitting old people. They make videos.
I want to tell you a story, which I was Evie and I, one of my clients was here this morning and we were putting her through a training session. And then she said, hey, I'm house sitting and they have a pool. You guys want to come hang out? And I'm like, sure.
You didn't invite me. I
could have
left work early.
And she told me I could have invited you. Anyway, that's besides the point. So she's a professor. She's a professor at the University of Utah. And she was asked to come speak at the Salt Lake Community College for this health class. So my client is in, it's the dog. It's probably wet.
God, it smells like
so
shit.
she is in health sciences, and she went to speak in this class, and she's like, she was just like baffled by how disrespectful kids are. So she's like, well, first I was late because they gave me the wrong location. So I didn't. So it was just like off to a bad start to begin with. But she's like, probably 50% of the class, like they're talking, they're having conversations, they're not paying attention. they're like texting and just being like downright rude. And I was like, man, she's like,
Could you imagine being a teacher, like a high school or middle school teacher?
well,
in
and that's the
today's
thing. So this
society?
is a lower level class at the community college. And
Well,
she's
so
like,
you're
I have it so easy at the U. Like, well, and she teaches higher level classes at the
master's
university.
programs and
Like, yeah,
500 level courses.
exactly. And so she's like, the respect that she gets being a professor at the University of Utah compared to how they treated her at the community college. She's like, I will never do that again. And I
Well,
was
and
doing
then
a
again,
favor.
that relates to no value. So, and I've had this conversation about if something's given. So if you're having if you're in your 500 level courses, you already have a bachelor's degree. You've already spent a lot of time. So I'm not talking shit to people who
And
went
a
to
lot of
community
money
college,
too.
but if
Well,
people,
yeah.
a lot of people that are struggling, a lot of people go to community college. I went to online college.
I went to community college.
But I'm just
in the
saying, like, so a
beginning.
lot of kids, their parents try to help them. They put them in college. I've known so many friends that put kids in community college, and after a year, like, this sucks, and they dropped out. So they're probably those kids. I don't want to be here. Who's this person up here talking?
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. College isn't for me. I'm gonna go work at Jiffy Lube. Nothing wrong with Jiffy Lube. They changed my oil, but I'm just saying, like, kids today. So people who pay good money for schools are going to usually pay more attention to that versus someone who's going to let parents like, hey, we'll pay for you to go to school for a couple of semesters, and like, I'm just here because I'm wasting my
I'm
time
just
and
here
money.
because my parents want me to be here.
And I've used the analogy, they get two kids that are one is given a car, one buys a car. The one that buys a car is going to treat it nice and give it a bath every week and detail it, keep it clean. The one that's just giving it, they don't understand value. She throws trash in there, lets it ding. They
Yeah.
don't care. They don't know how to change oil. They're like, ooh, whatever.
Right. Well, we definitely got off track. And as
They're
far
generally
as
nice. Who's generally nice people?
Mormons, yes, Mormons are great. I mean,
No,
some
they're
are
not.
great, some are not.
There's not
It's
most.
just all people in general. Some are great, some are not great, right?
I'd say there's
Everybody
more
has-
Mormons at BYU.
Yes. I went to the University of Utah, and yeah, I mean, of course, there's a lot of Mormons because we're in Utah, but
I'm a Mormon.
we are also,
I'm
yeah.
just a Jack Mormon who drinks Jack.
So anyway, yes, everybody.
But anyways,
I don't
yes,
know, I think
derailed
everybody-
ourselves. Pick your heart. Nothing's easy. Getting out of bed is not easy sometimes, but then you lay there and you waste your day. Then you're like, well, shit, I didn't get anything accomplished today because I just laid in bed. Okay, again, goes back to pick your damn heart.
Mhm.
And I've told myself so many days because I'm like, I just want to call in sick, but I can't, because what happens when I am sick? Then someone's gonna be like, oh,
Can't
you're
call in
you're
then.
abusing it, you're gone too much. So yeah,
Mhm.
be productive, be positive.
Exactly.
This wind is insane.
Well, it's not windy anymore.
Well, them trees are freaking me out, waiting for a limb to come crashing through the basement and
I
hit me
know.
in the eye.
Yeah, we just got this. Yeah, it's crazy out there right now. But I hope this was helpful. I hope it got you thinking about your goals.
Perspective.
Yeah, a little bit of perspective. What was your Panda 3 saying again? I love it. I wrote it down.
Well, you should have it on I'm gonna actually get it on a plaque or put it on my shirt,
You should
and then I'll
say
get
it.
sued by Disney. I
Say it
don't
again.
know, something about if you only do what you can do, you'll never be more than you are right now.
Yes.
Talking about doing the
Love
same
it.
lazy shit every single day because you're uncomfortable.
With
be-
getting uncomfortable.
Right, because
you're afraid to get
so Poe didn't
uncomfortable.
want to be he didn't want to be a teacher. He was the dragon warrior, but now he had to be an instructor. He's like, I can't teach, and he's like, well, if you only do what you can do, you'll never be more than you are right now. And you're just gonna
so
stop
good,
in
though.
life. And on my podcast, I talk, if you're not moving forward, you're dying.
Yeah, you're
Just-
dead. You said if you're not moving forward, you're dead.
You just don't know it yet.
But no, that's those are all great points. So
I'm gonna have a podcast where I just watch Disney and give you real life lessons.
done. You guys are
I used to do
gonna
this in
love it.
We used to do this in high school.
You know,
I was publishing Reader's Digest for
Okay.
writing morals of the stories.
so we were at Gabe's, speaking of Mormon again, we were at Gabe's, my stepson, his missionary farewell this weekend. And I was super impressed. He gave a speech and he used a lot
pop
of
culture
pop
references.
culture references and quotes from Cool Running.
Cool
I was
Runnings.
like, he mentioned Tupac.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to
And-
California, but he's like, I hate California.
It
Well, let's talk about what's coming out of California. He's like, he's listing all his bands and where they started up and blah, blah, blah. He's like, He's like, and I'm going to, Oakland, whatever. It's like, and Tupac has like a California song. And then he's like, he was referencing Van Halen. I'm like, bro, not a normal missionary farewell at LDS church. But I was laughing.
I was too.
The guy that got up after him was so he owns a farm and my son works for on this dairy farm. The guy just starts like dying. He's like, did you just reference Cool Runnings? He's like, you're 18. That shit's like 30 years old.
It was awesome though, because I'm sitting there as he's like referencing all of these things, and I'm like,
he was also finding positives to go to Cali. Like he wanted to go to anywhere else. He wanted to go to Panama because of the Van Halen song. I'm like, great song. I love Van Halen. But then he's like, I would have went anywhere else. Just don't want to go to California. But he was talking about cool things that come out of there and good things and teams and his favorite basketball team, the Warriors or Wizards or whatever. I don't watch a lot of sports.
Yeah, but it was cool. And so as he's like making all these references, I'm sitting there like, yep, he's definitely your son, because he's a
different kind of character, which is a good thing. He's very unique. He's this 6'1" skinny beanpole fire redhead dude that plays the guitar,
white with red hair.
And I was like, when did you learn to play the guitar? But my kids like music because I grew up playing music.
Yeah, it was awesome. So
it was super cool.
So again, very off topic.
Life's not easy.
No, it is not.
But if you just crawl in a hole, that's not going to be easy either. It might be easy for right now, and then tomorrow's going to suck. Just like people like, I don't want to go to work. Okay, well, imagine if I didn't have a job and then I couldn't go to work and then I didn't have money coming in, then I couldn't pay my bills. I promise I'd be a whole lot more miserable not being able to pay to have my home or anything versus bitching about going to work. So I'm like, oh, I get to go to work. We've talked about this before. I get to do this. I get to go to the gym. You have a gym membership, you get to go. Some people can't afford a gym membership.
That's right. Be grateful for what you can do and choose your hard. So thank you guys for joining us on this lovely Wine Wednesday. We will be live next week. I think our schedule is going to be a little bit different next week with, I think Marissa and I will be flipping some lives. So it's gonna be a good one. We'll let you know what that's gonna look like. We have 2 seats open left, still have two seats open to the retreat. So if you guys have anybody, any lovely ladies that you think would be fun to join us, we're gonna have an awesome time. A nice weekend getaway. Have them reach out to us, let us know. We would love to get them signed up and fill those last 2 seats. We do leave next week, so week and a half. I did not realize how close it was coming, how fast it was here already. So
I've been looking at my fishing trip in a few weeks.
It's in like 4 weeks.
It's not 4 weeks. I'm pretty sure it's 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. Well, it's coming up. So, well, thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.